Hello, hello, hello. Let me just check if the audio is good. Also, if I sound different to anyone, I am using my old headphones since my other ones, my main ones are broken, so the microphone will be a little bit bad until those are fixed, so hopefully no one minds too much. But anyways, hello everybody, my name is Kekrlin, or you may know me as Dino, and welcome back to GRS, where today we're going to be racing in F2 today for the penultimate round of the season. And that is going to be hosted on the United States Grand Prix on the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. But before that, before Austin hosted the United States Grand Prix, it was held before in Sebring, Riverside, Watkins Glen, Phoenix, Indianapolis, and then finally in 2012, when the track was built, it finally hosted the race. The track is 5.513 kilometers or 3.426 miles long and has 20 corners, 6 low speed for medium speed and 10 fast speed corners with 2 DRS zones on start finish straight and the back straight. And with that information you can clearly see that overtaking is going to be pretty difficult on this track, but because of the long DRS zones, one of the longest actually on the calendar, of course not overtaking Las Vegas or Baku, but still having a really long straight, that is going to be the main overtaking opportunities going into turn 1 and turn 12. So those are going to be the corners that we should look out for the most for the overtaking opportunities, and perhaps maybe sometimes in Sector 3's very twisty sections, getting a lot of inspiration from Turkey as well, turns 17, 18 and 19. But yeah, the track overall is also pretty solid with the elevation changes. You can, I think it's around, actually I'm not gonna say because I don't know, but it's good elevation changes in Sector 1 especially, and on the back straight, going up and down. For the tire allocations, we have the C2, C3s and C4s available for this, so right in the middle range, and the intermediates and wets also at everyone's disposal if they are going to be needed. Usually in real life we don't really see too much rain on this track, but in league racing in the game it really loves giving wet weather conditions, so don't discount those for today's qualifying and the race sessions. Let's look at the standings a little bit, which are led by Andreas Reimann, the Aston Martin, 141 points from Tyler's 122. Actually, give me just a moment, I realized that something is wrong with the audio. Give me just one moment. Okay, there we go. So, as I was saying, Andreas is leading by 19 points to Tyler Witts. Behind is the other Aston Martin of Vincent Reimann with 109 points, and behind him FA in the Mercedes is only behind by 5 points. So pretty close battle here at the top, could be concluded today as it is the penultimate race, like I said, so that is going to be something to look out for. And if we look at the constructors, currently the Aston Martins are leading by a mile, 63 points to the next team, which are Alpine. So that could also be concluded today. I think the gap has to be around 80 points, if I remember correctly, because you get 44 maximum points, that includes the fastest lap as well. So leading by 88 points, and they take the constructors as well. But Alpine also have McLaren behind, only 7 points, which is going to be something to look out for as well, as we are actually already in the session. So let's see what we are dealing with. As always, we have a short qualifying session that lasts 18 minutes, and that sets the grid for the race, which is half of the real-life race, so 28 laps, since the real-life race has 54... no. My math doesn't math. It's 56. So yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. As you can probably already see, we don't have too many drivers today, as we have made a vote from last week's race in Brazil, which was chaotic, and the vote has concluded that we do not bring any F3 drivers to reserve today, so we only have 11 people today, unfortunately. But yeah, it's going to be probably a bit more clean, but I don't want to jinx anything, so we'll see what happens. There could still be a lot of carnage, but with 11 people, I'm assuming not as much. And points are basically guaranteed. If someone DNFs, which will probably be the case into turn 1, points are just guaranteed if you finish the race, or if you just go to 90% of the race. So I think that's around lap 26, presumably, I would say, and you score a point. So that is very nice. As we have Tyler Witz, who is going to start the first lap of the session, we're going to go on board with him, and as we are waiting for that, I'm just gonna check if the game audio is good, because it's very weird. Oh, hello, Luke.
There we go. I'm in there.
Very nice. You can join us with Tyler starting his lap. I don't know if I'm gonna need to decrease your audio because of the microphone, but I'm gonna check that later. As Tyler has started his lap going into turn 1, you can see that elevation change. It's an incredibly difficult braking zone. You want to see a monitor on the right hand side and start braking heavily, but you can easily lock up, so be careful. You can touch a lot of the curb as well, flat out into turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, little lift, presumably, depending on the wings, into turn 5, turn 6, little lift as well, gear 5 into turn I think that was 7, going into gear 4, and flat out into turn 9. As you can see, he goes onto the grass, but thankfully he doesn't invalidate. Heavy braking zone into 70 meters, going into turn 11, I think that is. You can see that he locked up quite a bit, but that could be because of debris on his tires, so he missed the apex completely. A really long back straight, 320 kilometers an hour, started braking at around 110 kilometers. You can also cut the corner very heavily into turn 12. Started braking as well. Very easy to lock up in this section especially. It really reminds me of Bahrain's turns 8, 9 and 10. You want to stay in around 3rd gear or 4th gear depending on the stability of your setup and the car, and for the most complete traction out of the corner, because you can really easily lose a lot of time there. Going into turn 19, you again want to see the monitor on the right hand side, start steering. You can also see the tire marks in the race, which will help you a lot. Into the final corner, and it's gonna be a 1 minute 33.4, but Chris has already beaten that by 5 tenths, 132.9, provisional pole.
Bradshaw next to the line also does a 32.9, improving on Chris by about 600ths there. So a decent good first lap from him. Mitch on the mediums, about a second down on Bradshaw in the middle sector, finishes 1.4 off, but obviously on the medium tyres there's going to be a bit of a delta there. So next will be F8 to the line in the Mercedes, who goes to P4 at a 33.7. So quite a spread of times here. Kota is pretty difficult to hook up an entire lap, to be fair, so we'll cut people some slack as Marco goes to P4 at a 33.5, a tenth behind Tyler there, with Vincent 33.3, and never mind Jan boxes. So we got John and Andreas in the final sector at the moment, as around the final corner comes John, onto the pair of runs, very all over the place on the exit of the corner, still finishes with a 33.5 however, and Andreas goes P3 just ahead of his teammate.
Very impressive indeed. The Aston Martin's looking to take the constructors, currently P3 and P4, and really close for the pole position. You can see that it's only separated by half a tenth, so that is quite impressive from both Adam Bradshaw and Chris, who did have pace over the course of the season, but was prone to making some incidents. But to give him some slack, he's mostly recollected from those mistakes and isn't prone to making a lot of them anymore and making lots of crashes. And you can see that effect here in this qualifying session very clearly.
Quite a lot of people setting a 33.5 at the moment, with 3 drivers in that sort of area from 6th to 8th. The front 2 with a bit of a gap to the rest of the grid at the moment, to be fair. They've managed to put down the early pace pretty decently, so we'll have to see if anyone's going to be able to catch up to them later in the session. But as you mentioned here, the inspiration of Bahrain's turns 8 to 10, I think you said. Just made me remember that, well, that was like their whole thing when building this circuit. A lot of it was inspired by a lot of popular corners through other circuits around the world. Like this here is inspired by the triple right. It's inspired by Istanbul's essentially triple left. Just flip the other way around, and then in Sector 1 there's some inspiration from Maggots and Beckett's in Silverstone. So yeah, quite an interesting design choice for the track, to be fair. Something that clearly has seen some success as it is. A pretty liked track, I would say, especially in real life. I think it doesn't get as good of a reputation in league racing, but I think certainly in real life people do enjoy COTA.
Indeed, I would agree, and also I think it takes into effect that the same designer, speaking of the triple right-hander, that made Turkey, made this track as well, Herman Tilke, so maybe he just took inspiration from some of his older tracks. I don't know if he made Bahrain though, but he definitely made Turkey, so he probably just wanted to copy some of his work, because he saw that those corners especially were incredibly popular. Also, Adam is saying that your mic is a bit oopy, Luke, but I can assure you that that is my microphone, because I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but my main headphones are broken, so they are getting repaired, so I'm using my old headset, which is bad, really bad. So that's why there's some change in the audio, and I didn't have time to fix it since I was away from home today, and I only had about an hour to set everything up and find them in my back drawer.
Tyler there, 33.1, he went again on the same set of tyres. Managing to close that gap to the front 2, puts himself ahead of Andreas as well for now. I'm sure that fight's going to be interesting to see how that's going to unfold during this race. It's pretty hotly contested throughout the season. We had a bit of a coming together between the two last week, neither deciding to put a report on it. I think they kind of just, I don't know. I don't think they agreed it was a racing incident. I think they just didn't really report. They sort of just had a nice chat about it after, amongst a sea of carnage, which was last week. But yeah.
Perhaps.
My mic has static, apparently. I don't know if you can hear that on your end, if I have static on your end.
No. I forgot to explain that, if anyone remembers this old microphone, it's for some unknown reason, it records all of the audio from everything else and not only the microphone. So, for example, the game audio you're hearing and Luke's audio you're hearing is from the microphone and not from the actual in-game audio. So that's why it's a bit washed, because it's using all of my settings to make my voice clear, and his voice might get a little bit iffy. And if I did enable the game audio, you would hear it twice, and his voice twice, so there's a bit of a compromise there. That's why I bought a new headset, because I don't know why it does that. It's incredibly weird. But we see N4, I forgot his name, going into the final corner, the only one who hasn't set a lap time yet, going into P10, 133.9.
He lost a lot of time in the final sector there, is something I noticed. He was 2/10 up on Marco into the second sector split, but kind of made a mistake through the penultimate corner, got a bit on the curb on the inside, and just kept it in sixth to not lose a car for stability around there, as he caught it quite unconventionally there, unfortunately.
Indeed, as we see some other people just nearly finishing their laps. We see Mage Snape being the first guy to do that, going into turn 16, going very easy on the throttle, getting a really nice exit actually out of turn 16, going into 17 and 18, very nice there, but you can't really mess those corners up. Really nice apex, going into 19. The last corner as well, opening DRS, let's see what time that is, and it's improvement by 5/10 and only improves by 1 position and just barely by 4 thousandths of a second.
He got 2 positions up after Jan set his lap
Yes.
beforehand there.
Okay.
That's FA coming around the final corner, half a second up already. Has he found more in the final sector? He has. Another half a tenth or so. Puts himself into P4. FA is one of the 5 drivers who can technically still win the championship, although one of the ones with more of an 8-side chance, being 37 points behind with 2 rounds to go. So he would need a race win, and Andreas and Tyler to not score big. And speaking of Andreas, he goes to the top with a 32.7 there. A stellar lap indeed from him. And yeah, so 5 drivers who can still win. The gaps, I'll go and get that up. I know Bradshaw's 50 points behind, so I would literally need DNFs and just absolute perfection for the rest of the season. So I mean, your body can still win it. Unfortunately, he is most likely out of it without a miracle. Then you've got Andreas and Tyler, who are the top 2. Andreas currently 19 points clear of Tyler. Then 13 back from Tyler is Vincent, who's been racking up some decent results recently, with FA last week's race winner. Also keeping himself within a decent range of contention, as John in the Williams goes up to 2nd place there. 32.913, puts himself about 2 tenths off what Andreas did, but ahead of Bradshaw and Chris just about. As Chris Bell's into the pit lane, I don't think we have anyone else other than Marco on a lap, and Marco's no longer on a lap because he's cut the inside of turn 11.
Very brilliant from the Ferrari. I think everyone will mostly head to the pits because we have 4.5 minutes remaining to the session, so it's the perfect time for everyone to just put the minimum amount of fuel, get the final set of the softs, and just go out for the final shootout. And because the track improvement, especially on this track actually, track improvement is incredibly huge, so we will see a lot of improvements at the end of the session, I think, which is now.
We got Harry Spanswick going for what I can only assume is his final run. I mean, to be fair, he will just about have enough time if he bails right at the end of this and quickly gets in the pit lane. And then he'll have to do a fast lap as Marco's binned it into the pit lane victory, I think.
Yeah, he's done that. That's kind of a repeat. Haven't we seen that already before in this?
Well, yesterday we saw someone miss the pit lane entirely. Oh yeah, Jamie missed the pit lane and then flicked his car in to go into it illegally, as Harry Spanswick can validate him there. And I think we saw someone else crash in the pit lane as well.
Incredible. I think there was a short made that someone nearly missed the wall and came out scot-free. I think, I don't remember correctly though.
Yeah, beforehand we've seen David trying to enter the pit lane and go completely flying across back onto the track. That one's a YouTube short on the channel. But yeah.
We see some people already out on track quite early, I might add. They might get some traffic as they get to the starting line, but
I don't think they will. I think Spanswick might.
Possibly. I'm not sure. I mean, Spanswick is going in because he probably doesn't have the amount of fuel.
Nah, he does. No fuel light flashing or anything, and he's recharging.
Ah, then yeah, he will probably go again. It all just...
Yeah, he's got 1.5, so half a lap extra, so I think he's got to nail the lap, but let's see if he can do that. He's putting his battery early and wasted about 5% before the final corner. But anyways, onto the lap. And on the run up the hill towards turn 1, Red Bull coming out the pit lane, but that's not really going to affect him. I'm just wondering if John's going to make it out. Here he is, okay. But yeah, through turn 1, looks okay. Missed the apex a bit, but other than that, managed to get on the power decently. How much of these does he dare to cut? First one, not so much. Second and third one, though, right across them. Drops it to 6th, runs a bit wide away from the corner as the car washes out, and then trying to get a decent amount of, or trying to decently open up turn 8 there. Does it all right, but didn't maximise all the curb. Alpine moving out the way there, and then heavy on the brakes. How close to the inside can he go without cutting it? Pretty perfect, although a bit wobbly on the exit there when putting the power down. So now heading down the back straight towards the heavy braking zone of turn 12. Pick your braking point at about 115, 120 metres. Cut as much of the inside off as possible, which Spanswick doesn't do. So he's lost a bit of time from that, and is now half a tenth down when he was half a tenth up and drifting his way through turn 13, 14 there. And now on the run to the triple right, he's going to need to absolutely ace these final few corners. Runs wide through the triple right, very, very wide. However, hooks up turn 16, but yeah, he's already lost too much time out there on that lap. So there's Red Bull on a lap in some traffic, which is Chris. Let's see how he's managing to handle that.
He is still improving though, 3/10 up nearly. Across the finish line, it's going to be a 0.7, 70 thousandths off of Andreas, who has started actually a lap. He's going to be the final guy to cross it, I think. If Tyler or John actually crosses it in time. Oh, he has just enough time. 9 seconds.
Yep, everyone just about makes it there. That was tight on time.
Indeed.
So who we're going to have? We've got Aston Martin coming around first, which is Vincent, like you mentioned. Cuts turn 12 nicely, although a bit of a wobble on the back end, but he's 3 tenths up here, so has found a decent amount of time. As Mitch has done a lap at some point, which I didn't see, and put himself up to P7.
No, I didn't see that
so
as well.
fair play.
Indeed. You can see Vincent going very, very nicely in that third sector. Still not going too much on the inside, going into 16, 17, and 18, but gets a really nice run out of 19. Braking as well for 20. Ooh, gets a little bit squirrely on the exit, but still improves by 4 tenths. Gets himself into P5, which is incredibly unfortunate actually, because only P3 is separated by 70 thousandths. So
FA's on the exact same time as Vincent was in the middle sector, but finds even more in the final, and yeah, goes up to P3 there in the Mercedes. As Andreas is next, he's finding even more time on that 32.7. I think we could be seeing a 32.3 or 4 here. As out at the final corner, looks good, up to the line, 32.5, I was wrong. It lose a little bit of time in the final sector, as Chris boxes, not going to improve. Tyler in P7 at the moment. He's had a few of these moments in qualifying recently where he finds himself way out of position, but on the final run, can he rectify it? He can't, only improve 7 thousandths. It's up to the line now, John, Bradshaw, and Jan, none of them improving, it seems. As Jan does improve, but not enough to move up in position, and Mitch is doing donuts.
He's having fun. And that is going to be qualifying over. Andreas takes another pole position for the race. Chris follows him right behind on that first row of the grid. Quite an impressive qualifying from the Red Bull driver there, as FA goes into P3 and shares the second row with John. John actually also getting a pretty nice qualifying there. With Adam Bradshaw P5, the other Aston Martin.
Does he have to go in the pit lane? Come on.
He could retire after he crosses it, but
I hope he does.
Yeah,
there
you go. He does cross it. And Marcos happy in chat that he's not lost after crashing into the pit entry. A little bit embarrassing, but it can happen to anyone.
I think Mitch's failure at a 360 is more embarrassing than he put himself straight in a wall, which would have been funny. And karma for randomly doing 360s for no reason.
Indeed. As I was saying before, Vincent, the other Aston Martin, is in P6, and the third row of the grid. Tyler the main contender for the championship in P7, but we all know that his race pace is better than qualifying. Mitch Snape in P8, Harry Spanswick in P9, Marko Dodorovic in P10, and N4 is last in P11. What kind of strategies can we look at for the race? Is it gonna be an easy one-stop, perhaps mediums to hards, or are softs going to be used? Or, actually, we have some clouds. Could we see maybe some rain on the horizon at the end?
I hope we can see some rain. I like rain. That's
Rain is
one
fun.
review on the rain. But strategy-wise, yeah, I mean, you can kind of start on anything, really. Yesterday, what seemed most effective was a hard to medium strategy done by soft to medium strategy done by Finn, where he boxed on about lap 12 for the medium tyres, or 13. Managed to extend the softs really well without losing too much time, sitting in the DRS of who was it? Thomas, who was starting on the medium tyre, so we had tyre advantage for both stints as Thomas went for the medium hard in the end, and yeah, the mediums compared to the hards at the end gave him a very good advantage, managed to break a gap, and yeah, so interesting seeing F3 that was the best strategy. I'm wondering if we're going to see that again today, as here we go, lights coming on here in Kota, and we are away eventually, as it looks like a good start from the Red Bull of Chris there, who's alongside Andreas. Is he going to launch it deep into turn 1 to try and take the position? He is, however, leaving each other enough room, squeezes Andreas on the outside, all fair there though, and gets the position and takes the lead of the race. Tyler and Vincent side by side. Tyler loses the car, bit of wheel banging between the two of them there. They need to be careful through sector 1, and there goes Tyler round. Tyler is round, and
He's actually saved it quite nicely, going running again, only 3 seconds behind, so not a lot of time lost, which is fortunate for him, so he will probably get back, as there's still quite a few battles happening. Nearly 3 wide going into turn 12, Mitch hitting his teammate nearly because of that Constantina effect. But there's already a huge gap from P3 to P4. FA and top 3 have cleared a gap, as FA now is overtaking Andreas Reimann, having incredible straight line speed there from the Mercedes, as we see the other Aston Martin going side by side with Adam Bradshaw going into turn 12 on the other side of the line, but Adam Bradshaw is not having any of it, as we see John putting some pressure on the Aston Martin there, still staying on the outside. That's gonna be not really a good place to make the overtake, but he's still staying in that position and takes it, because he had the inside line into 16, 17 and 18, but Vincent is not backing out, as he makes slight contact with the Williams, as we see Bradshaw actually going into the pits. I think he might have some damage. There might have been some contact we haven't seen before, and that's why the gap has been made. But John, what a move on the Aston Martin there.
yeah, it's a new front wing for Bradshaw. I'm not sure what's happened to him there, to be honest. I think maybe something must have happened in turn 1 with him, as he's picked up some front wing damage, which is unfortunate, and that's going to drop him all the way down to the back here. And yeah, I think big thing that has happened here at the start is Tyler. The collision with Vincent, I feel like maybe well, there's wheel banging before the corner initially. Vincent was ahead of Tyler into the S's section. Maybe could have backed out, being a bit cautious there. As yeah, things like that can happen. You can throw your race away, as FA are looking to put the pressure on here on Chris, and he's doing that strategy from yesterday that was done by Finn. Jan also on the soft tyres and up to 8th place, but yeah, FA putting pressure on here, and they are gapping Andreas the front 2 at the moment. Andreas just about within that DRS range, as it will be activated next lap. As can the tyre strategy get out of my way? Thank you. But yeah, Andreas does have a lot of battery, not choosing to spend it yet, but probably will to ensure he does get DRS. But yeah, FA lucky and strong on the softs, but Chris on the mediums doesn't seem too phased at the moment, to be honest, as if we do look at the strategy all up and down, most people have gone for mediums. Mitch, the outlawyer on hards, So it'll be interesting to see how that one pays off for him, as Jan here, using battery, defends the insight from Harry Spanswick, who is looking to launch a move with the switchback. He's going to retake the position. Well executed there by the Haas driver. Just bided his time there and managed to pull off a very nice switchback, as FA actually has lost a bit of time here and is going to need to use some battery on the exit if he wants to get himself close, but Chris knows that. Chris already with the battery on and building himself up a gap, which is very interesting to see. Qualified P2 of course, but the race pace here from Chris is looking very, very strong early on.
I think also that these softs don't really look too well, as Tyler is nearly, or actually is on the back of the Red Bull of Jan, having the RS using all of the ERS that he has as well. I just don't think that these softs are really good in these beginning stages of the race, as we see just FA and Jan struggling a lot. The mediums seem to be the better choice in this stage of the race.
It's very interesting. I mean, yesterday we did have different conditions out on track. Today we have a lot of clouds. Yesterday it was mostly sunny conditions, so maybe the tyres performing a bit differently in reaction to the track conditions, although this game doesn't simulate that very well, so I would highly doubt that's the reason, to be honest. Yeah, Vincent's moved up into P4, making it an Aston Martin 3-4 at the moment, as he overtook John on the back straight. As into turn 1, Andreas sends one, and has got the move done lovely there on FA. And he'll retake the position for now. I think maybe the best thing for these two to do could be to swap positions in the DRS zones and try and just claw back that gap to Chris. Don't let him run away and have the control over this race, although Andreas right now in Sector 1 is looking very quick and has managed to take 2 tenths out of Chris there. So, starting to come alive a bit here in the Aston Martin, and it'd be interesting to see if he is going to be able to get that gap back down. But FA is close and could try re-overtake here. Maybe we'll bridge the gap, especially if he uses some battery, but I don't think he wants to really go lower than what he's on now. Would it maybe be smart, as FA is going to stay behind? Probably the best option for it for him here, as a bit wobbly there as John and Vincent swap again, and Tyler is making up another place, but Spanswick again with a switchback. He knows what to do here. The switchback very powerful, but there's contact, and Tyler has taken Spanswick out there. As there's also yellow flags further up, which is FA on the soft tyres.
That could be just a little bit too early on the throttle. We've seen before that can really get you off guard. It's really easy to lose the car in these really slow sections and hairpins, and we've just seen one victim of that adding his name to that pile. But with John and Vincent's battle, they're actually not losing too much time to the guys behind. So they're actually helping each other out quite nicely here, as Vincent is nearly outside the DRS of Marco there, who is not really gaining too much on these guys, and not even gaining on this teammate, who is the only person on the hards on the alternate strategy alongside Jan and FA, but they are on soft. So I think it's going to be interesting to see Mitch's tire selection at the end, if he's going to go for mediums or softs, and if he's going to have the pace later on to...
Mitch has been dropped here, and he's locked up completely into turn 11 there, which is going to bring Spanswick close to him, and he's going to have to get a bit of a move on here. He had a few mistakes in that sector. When I was watching on board to see how the hards look as a race tyre, didn't look very comfortable for him whatsoever, as Tyler's now up to P7 after having a collision with Spanswick, so that's interesting. The fact that they've already caught up to the cars in front is showing, I think, a differential in pace, certainly, as I think Spanswick probably up in his own pace to try and keep Tyler behind, as Chris at the front has pulled another 8 tenths out of nowhere, but Vincent's also gained to Andreas, so I'm thinking there might have been a mistake, as people not looking too comfortable here, I'll be honest. It's a bit all over the place from some of the drivers, and they're not really keeping it.
Indeed.
Pointing in the right direction all the time, as Tyler now did get DRS on Mitch there, so they have bridged up to him as he drifts his way through turn 1. Just getting
Harry
time from it
nearly
though.
spins into turn 1. It's fun watching him go into second gear into a lot of incredibly heavy traction zones. I'm impressed he can even take it in second gear. It's just a lot of fun to watch. Honestly, him just drifting everywhere. His tires are probably gonna be screaming that they are worn and overheated already.
There's 2 time penalties coming in as well. Mitch and Spanswick both getting it basically at the same point there in sector 1. Time penalties are definitely something we're going to have to take into consideration here today. Quite easy to pick up at Kota, and in next week at Mexico they'll be even more prominent, I feel, as it's a pretty difficult circuits to navigate in terms of the track limits to end the season off, so I think people just need to focus on keeping it within the white lines, and that's what will give them a good result out here today, as Mitch a bit all over the place there, as Tyler slowly approaches on those medium tyres. We'll have to see if he's going to go for a move on the main straight, or if he's going to wait for the back straight. I think it'll pretty much depend on how close he is, although Mitch, with a bit of a mistake there, gives Tyler about a half a second gap, so I think if he puts the battery on, he could get the move done. But he's not going to choose to do that. I think, final corner compromises his exit a little bit, and doesn't really have any straight line speed there. Mitch, very fast in a straight line, so that's interesting to see.
Indeed. I think Kota is one of those tracks that is very interesting with the setup, the directions. You can really gain a lot of time with a high downforce setup, especially in sectors 1 and 3, but again, having a really low downforce setup like Mitch, for example, gives him more benefit for the main straight and the back straights to not get overtaken as easily, so it is a bit of a compromise to which setup direction you want to go for, and which would you find more preferable in this situation, as we actually see Tyler, we see Tyler overtaking Mitch. Before he answers that question, let's just see if he's gonna make the move. Mitch locks up slightly, goes for the switchback, still on the outside. I think he's gonna just have to stay behind as Tyler squeezes him right before turn 16, but still
Mitch
stays
defends
that
it
position.
nicely.
Indeed. Harry's there again, but he backs out of it. And now you can answer the question I had.
Yeah, so I think it really depends on driving preference. I mean, in a race scenario, the lower wings will be much better in a defensive situation. However, if you know you can maximise the time in sector 1 and 3 that you'll get from running the lower wings, then it's 100% worth it, as Mitch trying to defend from Tyler there. He's not got much battery. Spanswick clips the back of Mitch, actually, and has cost himself a whole second from that, interestingly, which is a lot of time for just a little mistake there. As on the previous slide, we did have yellow flags in Sector 1, and we do have yellow flags again in Sector 1. That is Jan in the Red Bull. Once again, I think it was him last lap also. So that is unfortunate. So I've got 2 groups of 3 here that we're watching at the moment. Mitch all over the place on that exit. He's going to be on the battery, trying to use it with DRS as well, but yeah, he's not going to get anywhere near Tyler here before the braking zone, so not going to be able to fight back against the Alpine currently. We'll see if he'll be able to stick with him. I'm expecting Tyler to close the gap to the 3 in front, as Mitch all over the place there once again, and Spanswick as well. People really not enjoying the traction on this track whatsoever.
And it's only lap 8, so it's only gonna get worse, as the tire degradation is quite high on this track, actually. Very heavy on the rears because of the traction zones, as there are many of them, so unfortunately for the drivers, it's only gonna get worse from here.
Yeah, I've just watched, hold up, I'll mention what I was saying in a sec, as John goes for the switchback on Vincent and makes that move stick. That is a nice move there, but, what I was saying is, I just watched, Spanswick have his battery on all the way around the triple right, which
Okay.
I don't know how he kept it pointing in the right direction doing that, because that must have been completely unstable. He did wash out extremely wide, but managed to keep his car pointing in the right direction, which I would never advise putting your battery on in the high-speed corner like that, as the chances of you spinning are normally quite high. So, you know.
I don't know if I should say that's impressive or not, because I spun because of that. I don't know how he didn't. As
We've got
we see
Vincent here retaking
yeah.
P3 away from John, and Marco's just watching these two.
As Harry also overtakes Mitch for P7. Both of them have penalties, unfortunately, but I don't think that those are going to be the last ones that we're going to see over the course of the race.
Marco, he seems quite happy to just sit and watch these two at the moment. I think he's just sort of recharging. He was on like 19% battery, up to about 30, so he's making some slow progress, which is always good.
Yeah, he can be patient, definitely. As the gap between Andreas and Vincent is actually extending. Before it was only 6 seconds, now it's 7.5. So either Andreas and Chris are incredibly quick with the race pace, or Vincent is just losing it all over the place.
We've also got Tyler, who's taken a second out of the cars in front on that last lap. He is flying at the moment, which is what I did expect, to be fair. Although, oh, there's a 3 second time.
That's
what I was going to say is,
or not
maybe that's voice catching. He's just been absolutely sending it across the S's flat too.
Could be.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, on top of that 3 seconds now, potentially an impending time penalty for the collision with Spanswick as well. So he's going to need to get onto the back of these cars and clear them quite quickly, as if Andreas finishes P2 and John finishes 4th, then it would essentially be a requirement that Tyler wins the race and Andreas doesn't score on the final race, which I think is highly unlikely, as Tyler here is, yeah, kind of maintaining this lap. It seems like he might have taken a lot of life out of his tyres pushing aggressively the last lap, rather than driving more conservatively as he was beforehand. Probably had an advantage. His tyres probably weren't as cooked, although actually lap 1 changes that. But yeah, he just didn't really catch on much that lap, and I don't know, a bit of an interesting one. But yeah, it's kind of crucial for him to make up some places here to at least finish P4 to have a fighting chance at the title going into the final race, as currently it is going the way of Andreas, and Andreas will win today.
Indeed.
I think Aston Martin will also pick up the constructors today as well, if things stay the way they are.
I think there's around 19 points a gap from Andreas and Tyler.
19.
So either Tyler finishes, if Andreas wins, I think it's game over for Tyler. I think they would be equal on points, actually, if Chris, or if Andreas also gets the fastest lap, which is actually shared by Chris. Chris actually holds the fastest lap by 2/10 off of Andreas. And FA actually closes that as well.
Yeah, Tyler essentially he needs to get on up ahead, otherwise, well, Andreas wins the title today. He will have that 25-point gap if it, or more than 25-point gap if it does finish the way it is. Tyler, yeah, 19 points behind. Actually, Vincent will also be right on the back of Tyler if it finishes the way it is. 7-point swing in the favour of Vincent would put him only 6 behind into the final race, so Aston Martin could even finish 1-2 in the championship here as well, let alone the constructors.
Indeed.
And they've both drove really good seasons.
So, very surprisingly, honestly, I think this is their first seasons as well in the league, and if they can take the constructors and drivers in their first seasons, that would be madly impressive.
Yeah, it's the first full season we've seen Andreas before on some one-off occasions in F2. He's done a few races of reserve in the past, I think in seasons 5 and 6. And then is committed to going full-time this season, got a teammate in Vincent, and they've both been very capable of consistently fighting near the front. And that's definitely given the edge. We've also driven very cleanly, not gotten into too many incidents throughout the season. Which has given them a massive edge over Alpine. As Alpine have been involved certainly in a lot more incidents than the Aston Martins, which could have been a deciding factor this season, in all honesty. Callum not here today due to a race ban for accumulated penalty points, which just gives Aston Martin even more of a boost to wrap up that constructors.
Indeed, I guess it's all to play for in this race, and there can still happen a lot of things. We might see a safety car. It is only lap 12, not even halfway of the race, so anything can still happen. As we see Chris actually going for a very early stop, unless he's going for hards, because we see only the soft runners boxing this lap. That's why I'm saying it's quite early. And yeah, it is hards. Tyler follows him on hards as well.
Honestly, I'm a big fan of what Chris is doing here. I think in a race where I think he can feel quite comfortable about there not being a safety car, to be honest. The walls are hard to find here, unless you're Marco in qualifying.
Brilliant.
But yeah, the walls are hard to find here. It's hard to bring out a safety car without a monumental collision, so he's undercutting onto the hards. He already had a big lead. He's going to have even more of a gap now when Andreas pits, and he can essentially then just cruise it to the finish line. So, yeah, I'm a fan of what Chris is doing here.
I think it's also good for Tyler to do an undercut as well, because watching his pace, he was going to get close to that train ahead of him quite soon, and now if he has an undercut, perhaps he can gain even more time and overtake him when the others box on those fresh hards. So he's not gonna lose any time just being stuck in that train. It all depends on the time.
He could lose some time, although he's a bit far back, but he's going to be using the battery. Turns it off really, about 9 tenths back. I think maybe just looking for a bit of a fight in this race,
As we see Chris going around the outside of Mitch. Mitch leaves space going into turn 15. That's a really nice move, but that's what new tires do for you. They give you just so much more grip than everyone else around you. As we see some other people going
into the pit lane.
Yes, they are. We are probably gonna see hards being put on. There's no way softs are gonna go to the end from this point. And yes, it is hards for Andreas, Marco. Harry also goes into the pits. That is gonna be hards as well. Let's see where Tyler is gonna emerge compared to Andreas and Marco. Has the undercut worked? Compared to Andreas, he's lost even more time than he's gained. But compared to Marco, they are gonna be side by side, going into turn 1. Oh, nearly making contact. But Tyler's got it. Tyler's got the move and the position.
Marco is going to have the fresher tyres though, and even a 1 lap difference at Kota is massive. Very high pressure track on the tyres. An absolute tyre killer. Which does make for interesting races. Tyler, mistake there, which is massive for Marco, because during this warm-up phase he needs to stay as close as possible. He doesn't want to lose the DRS, and that mistake there is going to benefit him significantly. So he's going to have a fighting chance of staying with the Alpine on this lap. And after that, I think he should be fairly comfortable for him, to be honest. As I'm expecting Vincent and John to either come in this lap, or if they stay out, then they're extending for softs.
Indeed, and seeing how Tyler has overtaken Marco, who was one of the members of the train, I think it's gonna be pretty clear that Vincent and John are also gonna emerge behind them. Speaking of which, they have gone into the pits, so let's wait and see where they emerge. But like I said, I think it's gonna be behind Tyler, so the undercut seems to be quite huge on this track. Which honestly is quite unexpected in my opinion, but tire heating is probably not a big issue on this track.
Marco needs to start using battery here, otherwise actually Vincent's going to come out ahead.
Oh, but
just
just
side by side again. Tyler's managed to fit in the gap there and manages to actually get that, but John's lost a lot of time in the pit lane. I feel like he might have made a mistake with the turn in and maybe forgot to click the button.
It could also be the pit exit. Sometimes I forget to turn the pit limiter off, and it loses a lot of time. But yeah, Tyler is a huge winner from the undercut. Of course, at the end of the race, he's gonna be struggling with more tire wear than everyone behind him. But at this point, he's in clean air. He can just run away if he has the pace, which we saw before that he kinda does. So the podium is on the cards, but the problem is he does have that penalty, which is probably not gonna get removed. So he has to make that gap to 3 seconds unless he gets another one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite difficult for him, to be honest. Vincent is probably going to keep him company. He's got 2 lap pressure tyres, so I don't think tyres going to be breaking away. It's John, 3-second time penalty. So unfortunately being undercut by 2 cars and picking up a time penalty, which is great news for Vincent and Marcos. If John does go for an attack now, they don't really have to worry as such. As there's yellow flags, that is Bradshaw. On those old medium tyres, I'm expecting to see him in soon and probably just bolt on softs to the end. Yeah, he comes into the pit lane now.
You know, I think Mitch is gonna go for softs. He's staying out quite late for as Vladimir Bradshaw retires into pit lane. I think he's staying out quite late on those hards. I think we might see some softs at the end by Mitch. I don't know how good that strategy is. I don't really suggest doing it, but maybe he can prove me wrong.
I think his fights with Spanswick and I think his logic behind going long here is just basically bolt on the softs and yeah.
And also, like I said before, if one car DNFs, all other points are guaranteed, and there we go. Adam Bradshaw has retired and everyone who finishes gets awarded, as we see Vincent going on a move on Tyler, down the inside, going into turn 12, but it doesn't make it stick. Tyler just had that grip on the racing line. There were some marbles offline for Vincent there on the inside, so couldn't really make it stick. But the problem for everyone now is that they are stuck behind Mitch, who's on 15 old medium, or 15 lap old medium, so they are gonna have to go one by one ahead of him unless he heads into the pits. And no, he doesn't. This could end in chaos, but let's... Oh, Mitch gets snappy on the exit, but you can...
As here comes Vincent.
Indeed, I think it's gonna be 3 wide!
It's gonna be 3 wide!
Oh god.
Into turn 1!
As Tyler just doesn't leave any space for... Oh, they are all going off the track, and there was many contacts, but everyone's still alive. Mitch... Oh no, that's Marco and John behind, going side by side, and Marco emerges victorious and stays ahead of him. That was stressful.
Yeah.
But I'm honestly surprised they all overtook Mitch in one single corner. I was gonna expect him to block everyone in this whole sector and then wait for the box straight to overtake him, but that was surprisingly quick.
I think the thing was, Mitch had Tyler and Vincent way too close and didn't want to hold up Marco, if anyone, so decided the best option is just move out the way.
Possibly.
And not really hold up any of them as Marco backs out here before the braking zone. Doesn't want to make it 3 wide there as Vincent takes 3rd place back in this race. But yeah, this is it's getting interesting now.
This is quite a battle, pretty enjoyable even when we don't have a Full grid. This is proving to give us a lot of entertainment. This whole battle here in the mid pack, and oh no, I was about to say that someone else has gotten a penalty there, but it's all the same. It's just that Tyler and Vincent have switched positions, which is probably gonna happen again on the start-finish straight. But Tyler getting a horrible exit out of the final corner. I don't think any moves are gonna be made, unfortunately.
Mitch is staying out again.
Interesting.
And Swanswick's, he's now going to be behind FA. I'm confused.
Indeed. I don't think Mitch staying out this much will, when he boxes for softs later, I don't think it's gonna gain those 24
I
seconds
think it might
he's
have
lost.
lost him positions here. To be
Yes,
honest.
I don't think. If this was real life, perhaps staying out would be beneficial, but with how the game works, those softs will die in 2 laps, and you will not gain any time on anyone, probably. So those 24 seconds you're gonna lose into the pits, you're not gonna gain back, unfortunately. So I think Mitch's strategy here was the wrong one today. Nice to get some pointers for tomorrow in F1.
Still got to pick up 2 points, I think, at this stage. Regardless.
Maybe even 4. FA is not really looking too great. 17 seconds behind Mitch, so I think with the softs he could overtake him, but nothing more above P8 is unfortunately on the cards for Mitch.
Unless there's a safety car.
Maybe that's what he's waiting for, actually. Yeah, true.
I think waiting for a safety car here is just not smart. There's not going to be one. I don't think, to be honest.
I think he's gotten way too used to having way too many F3 drivers and then everyone just crashing into each other and having 4 safety cars, and now that we don't have any, it's quite surprising.
I think even if you put F3 drivers in today, you still don't get a safety car. I mean, they didn't cause any yesterday, and I think realistically all putting F3 drivers in here would do is it just cause a bit more carnage. As Jack's waffling in the chat, so yeah, no need to listen to him. There's a 4-car battle going on, so you can be bored all you want, mate, but we're not bored here. And also, Andreas has closed some time up to Chris. That gap was 5 seconds, it's now 4.3, so we'll keep an eye on that towards the end of the race. Andreas with the 1 lap fresher tyres. Maybe Chris just going through the grading phase there, giving Andreas a bit of a boost for a lap. It'll be interesting to see if that continues to drop or not. There's Tyler here. Just sort of waiting. He's got 30% battery, so does Vincent. The most out of them is Johnny's at the back. He does have a position to fight for, and now he has 2 positions to fight for as Marco picks up a penalty. That's going to make him, it's going to give him a bit more motivation there, as that position is now going to matter. As Mitch is also on the back of FA.
Indeed, those softs working wonders. Already on the back of him, just not really pushing too much. Not even you using all of the throttle at the exit.
I think, yeah, he's just going to go fast into turn 1.
I'd
be using battery if I were him, because you'll gain so much in sector 1. No, Mitch, come on, you've got to send it. That's just... Well, that's a waste from Mitch on those soft tyres.
Indeed, but I'm confused. Why is he not overtaking him? He's gonna waste so much time in sector 1. Look at this. Just very much getting blocked.
I don't understand that. Yeah, he would have easily broke. Yeah, no, he's wasted part of his softs there. Which basically means that the 22-second gap to Spanswick, which wasn't going to get caught anyway, is certainly not getting caught now.
And Mitch now made contact with FA as well into 11. I'm confused.
I don't understand why he's not using battery, just making it easy for himself.
I have no idea. I think maybe he was a bit too cautious with FA staying with him and getting DRS on the back straight, but he's on fresh softs, FA's on old mediums.
Yeah, I think he'll understand he's messed
it.
up by the end of this sector when he's already basically, he's a second ahead already.
Yeah.
Like, I think he'll understand that he's completely messed up now because, well, he would have got that in sector 1. So he's essentially just wasted a whole sector of performance on his tyres.
And
he's
also
got the gap
lost...
down to Spanswick to 21.4 now.
Yeah, probably
Already
lost around a second or two.
It might be worth like 2 or 3 seconds a lap at the moment, which by the end would have put him actually quite near. So if he doesn't get into DRS by a small amount, then he'll know where he could have found that.
Speaking of
like
DRS...
I said, I think the tyres will die too quick.
Possibly, but speaking of DRS, Marco nearly got outside of Tyler's, but just barely stays inside of it, but gets under pressure from John, who takes that position incredibly easily. But yeah, they are nearly outside DRS if they continue squabbling like this, John and Marco.
John's got a lot of battery. He can afford to go for some things and it not really negatively impact his race, unless of course it's a collision, but yeah, I think it's good for him to be able to capitalise on that opportunity there. Also ensures that they don't drop out of DRS, bridging that gap, and Marco potentially dropping away a bit here on the pace. He does seem to be struggling more on the more worn tyres. But, you know, as long as he can stay within range, and the opportunity is always there for him, as I'll have to see that. See if he can manage to stay with us. Tyler picks up another 3-second time penalty, putting him up to 6 seconds now.
Yeah, that was not what he needed. I was about to say a few seconds ago that Tyler is gonna benefit from people behind also having a penalty, and then he scores another 3 seconds, so it's now 6 seconds. So my words go into the trash. I'm not gonna say anything.
I also think Tyler might already be up to 8 warnings. He cut the inside of one of the corners and then ran off at 9 on the exit, so he might already be up to 8 warnings. I can't lie. It's Vincent, switch back. Lovely. Here's Tyler going to send it. And he was already there the whole time using a bit of battery to leave himself in that space.
That's actually quite a nice move, as John nearly also joins in the battle and overtakes. Oh, speaking of which, he goes wide, very wide, but still stays there.
Marco's got the back John into this corner. He does it after. But yeah, these 3 very close. Marco's actually able to gain back up because of this. I think Tyler's decided he just needs to go and try break a gap, because in this, now with the 6 seconds, he can't win the title. And Andreas will win the title because of the 6-second time penalty. Maybe even Vincent knows that doing the math, so he might just go and send it back past and sort of just keep him there for his teammate to win it. Since, unless Andreas makes a horrendous mistake, he also isn't going to win it. Just take a look at fuel. Chris is only on 0.1 lap left, positive by the way. And Vincent's only on, okay no, 0.8, sorry. I thought it was a 0.0. It might be a 0 actually.
Could be, I don't know.
It's either a 0 or an 8. Yeah, no, that's an 8 again. Vincent's fine, but certainly a problem for Chris. Tyler, he'll be alright on battery. No, we're not battery, fuel. Yeah, but Chris could run out here.
I don't
Chris
actually know how much fuel is a factor in this race. It's pretty high wings, so fuel consumption is actually quite high.
Yeah, the game recognises it as like a medium downforce track, somewhere in the 20s on wings, I think, or maybe I think it got up to the 30s this game. But yeah, you're still running a way higher amount, so the fuel consumption compared to what the game's predicted is quite high. Also, Tyler has gap, by the way.
Oh yeah, actually, I didn't even realize he's actually finding a lot of pace even on hards that are way worse than the people behind him by 2 laps. That's quite impressive actually from the Alpine. Maybe he could actually clear a gap. I don't know if it's gonna be 6 seconds. It's definitely not gonna be 6 seconds unless people behind him battle, but still, I think that's pretty impressive. But maybe not to Vincent, but from people behind, if he just gets 3 seconds, he would stay in P4, and that would still keep him in the title fight by only 2 points, I think.
Yep.
So this is gonna be interesting to look out for the last 5 laps of the race, as it is lap 24 out of 28.
Yeah, Tyler is going to need some of the best laps he's driven all season here, consistently, to ensure any sort of chance he's got at keeping a chance of a title alive going into the final races. There goes John, up into P4.
Maybe. Oh, we can see John sliding a little bit on the exits, not really having the best pace, but I think he can catch the Tyler. Yeah, he can definitely catch the Tyler and get the ERS. I think he is using some of the ERS, only a tenth behind. And if he gets, actually no, the DRS detection is at
Tyler all over the place there.
And he is in the DRS.
While he's not going to get it in there, he's going to have an opportunity to stay within.
And that's gonna take back all of the work that Tyler has done in the last 2 laps, and the gap is gonna stay the same as it was, unfortunately.
I think Chris is okay on fuel. He's only losing about 0.03 a lap, which will basically put him like 0.01 under. Oh, Tyler's in the wall and he's out! Is that going to be a safety car? It is!
Oh! Well,
Okay.
that was unexpected. Interesting. Oh,
Well, this is going to be one way to end the race.
and one way to wrap up the title. Oof.
Well, it depends now. Andreas is going to have a fight on his hand from cars behind.
True, but are they even gonna catch the safety car? The safety car has to go in this lap already. I don't think people will catch in time, especially not Mitch, Efe, or Jan. Wow.
Yeah, it might be difficult for them to catch. We'll have to see.
I am shocked how that happened, honestly. I think he was pushing a bit too much on those hards, trying to extend the gap for John to not have the RS and just overshot it. As yeah, of course we see people going in for softs. Everyone's gonna go in, which is gonna be even worse for other people to catch the safety car, because like we stated before, it has to go in this lap. It cannot go longer than the last 3 laps. So
we're gonna get a fight here. John spinning into the pit lane.
Well, that could get removed if he got contact from someone behind.
Not right yet.
And unless that happens, then it's not gonna get removed. Oh, that's a long.
John's on mediums.
Vincent got held up in the pits. He gets overtaken by Marco.
Spanswick stayed out.
John's on. Why is John on mediums? It's 2 laps remaining.
This is gonna be carnage.
Actually, maybe. No.
I think Mitch might catch it, you know.
Mitch could catch, yeah.
He's gonna get out the pit lane at a decent point and has a chance, yeah. I think he will, just about. Although the safety car is going onto the back straight, so it all depends how fast they go in sector 3, to be honest.
I think even safety car on this track is quite fast. Even in the slow sections, so it's gonna be very tight for other people to catch. But I'm just
He's only a better sector behind, so it's possible.
True. I am
I'll tell you,
also.
it'll be perfect for Mitch if it goes in and FA doesn't catch him.
Also, I just realized Harry hasn't boxed. Still on 12 lap old hard. So that's gonna be fun. Can't wait for more people to retire because of that. Okay. As we are about to enter sector 3, are we gonna get the indication that the safety car is going in, or is it gonna be late? Nope,
There it is.
it's not late.
Here we go.
Well, this spices things up a bit. I mean,
I think Mitch and FA are going to catch here.
you said before that Andreas might get killed by someone, but he has Harry behind on 12 lap hold hards. I think it's pretty safe to say that Andreas gets the title.
Well, he's got a fight with Chris, although I feel like he might just sit there, take a PT.
I think he's gonna take it. I don't think he's gonna even put too much pressure on Chris, because Chris could extend that gap quite quickly. We've seen that Chris has the pace out of anyone else. Held that fastest lap for quite a while until Mitch went on the softs. But let's see when Chris is gonna restart. Oh, that's very early for a restart. Harry Spanswick going into the pits for some reason. Why didn't he do that before? What is he doing? But overall, it's a pretty safe restart because of that. No one is really close except for Vincent. Yeah, you are correct. On the inside, a very late break in there, but still makes the corner stick. Marco trying to do a switchback. Is he gonna make it stick? Yes, he actually does. Very nice there from the Ferrari driver. And you know what? John is actually staying with the people on the softs ahead of him. That's quite impressive, even in Sector 1.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've also got FA, who's on for a really good result here now, because of the not having a penalty, so that's very interesting for him. He's going to jump Mitch, Marco and John, although does need to get a little closer at the moment.
I did forget about penalties.
Yeah, front two close. Andreas has used 50% of his battery and Chris has only used 25.
Well, that is gonna end things. Purple Sector 2, although, for Andreas, so he is pushing quite a lot. He does want that win, but how much does he want this win compared to the title? I guess we just have to wait and see as we are coming to the turn 18 and 19, and we are just about to start the final lap of the United States Grand Prix, and this is gonna be very interesting as Andreas goes wide into the final corner. He's not even in the DRS range of Chris. He's gonna be under pressure by John, who's only 3/10 behind Andreas. He's cooking on those mediums somehow. I wasn't expecting those mediums to actually be good compared to the softs here at the end.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to be fair. He's very much on the face, and maybe has a chance of an overtake on Andreas, although I don't think it means anything in the scheme of things, as Mitch and FA have dropped off quite a lot, so they aren't going to be getting any more places due to penalties or anything, but they are still going to get an extra position on where they would have been due to Spanswick making a mistake with what he was going for. So here we go into the braking zone of turn 12. Are we going to see anything occur? Doesn't look like it here. Everyone pretty much flashing there with no battery. Chris has still got 44%.
Brilliant. He's definitely gonna win this, as we see people just staying behind each other, no one taking any risks here after, or as we have just a few more corners to the end. As we see, Chris is just about to get to the final corner, and he is going to win the United States Grand Prix in GRS Season 7. Congratulations to him as Andreas crosses the line, finishes in P2. His teammate Vincent gets the final spot on the podium, and I think that is the title going to Andreas. If we
I forgot John had the 5-second penalty.
Oh yeah, for speeding.
FA jumps to P5 and Marco gets a P4.
A brilliant comeback there after he was 40 seconds behind. That safety carring saved him massively.
Transwick gets the fastest lap, that's an extra point. But does Jan take it, is the question.
I don't think he will. He boxed on the last lap.
He's on a good lap, yeah.
He is on the lap, but he did box before on the final lap, I think.
No, he boxed on 26, so he has
26.
a chance.
He doesn't have ERS though. He used all of it.
Oh, he's
everywhere.
gone wide. Is that going to cost him the fastest lap? The middle sector, I think, was quicker. But
Because
is it going to be faster overall? He's gone wide off the track and...
I don't think he got it.
No, he just got it, no.
There we go. That's our wrap. Vincent for the driver of the day in the game.
I think I'll give it Chris.
I would give it to Chris as well. Quite a really dominant pace, surprisingly. Very impressive stuff there from the Red Bull, as he does win the race, but I think the main celebrations are going to be in the Aston Martin camp as they secure the drivers and constructors titles. Congratulations to both of them for securing their first in their first season. Incredible stuff there from both of them, as they also take a double podium in the race with Marko Dorovic in P4. Unfortunate for those penalties, but thankfully he still stays ahead of FA, who had no penalties and got really lucky with that safety car running in P9 and got the P5 at the end. So pretty good points for Mercedes, as John is right behind them because of that 5-second time penalty, nearly getting overtaken by Mitch Snape as well. So he was very lucky to not do that. Harry Spanswick in P8, fastest lap as well, so he gets an additional point, which is 5. Jan in P9, and Tyler, unfortunately, DNFs alongside Adam Bradshaw, who retired in the pit lane.
We have two quick updates after the race. Mitch had damage for hitting the wall into the pit lane, so I had damage for the end of the race there, and Spanswick was trying to pit, but went deep into the pit lane and missed the whole thing. So that is why they, Spanswick boxed a lap later, and Mitch
basically did it the same as his
teammates.
teammates.
Fast at the end and lost a lot of time.
Indeed. I think both Ferraris actually hit that wall on the pit lane, so poor from you, Ferrari, poor. You have to learn your pit entries.
Well, Andreas wins the title there.
Indeed.
And Aston Martin take the constructors, which in the F2 tier specifically, I believe is Aston Martin's second constructors title, and is the first time they've won it in F2 since season 2. Yep, I'm correct on that. Wow. So yeah, Andreas adds himself to the list of different title winners in F2 here, and yeah, as has been quite a common theme with this tier, team who has the winner of the Drivers' Championship wins the Constructors as well.
And that is very impressive stuff as well, so congratulations to them again. So, any final words? Because I don't think we're gonna do the interview, so any final words you want to say before we round things off?
No, I'm alright.
Okay, so this is where we are going to end. So, thank everybody so much for watching the stream and the commentary. I hope that you liked it, and if you did, you can hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out for better content in the future, and you can also keep up with some of the other content that we do. Sometimes we also post some shorts and long-term videos, so you can stay tuned when they come out. In the description, there's also some links where you can follow us and keep in touch with that, with our Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, so you can also follow us there, and a link to our Discord. If you enjoyed the racing that you watched, you can join us. Mid-season signups, I think, could still be open. I'm not really sure about that, for the final race next week on this game. So yeah. And soon after that, after the new game comes out, we are going to open the Season 8 signups, presumably around June. I assume so. And if you don't want to race, if you want to help out in the league, there's also some staff signups you can also sign in for. And if you don't want to do any of those, you can just hang out in the server and chat. People are very friendly, and you can do that as well. So yeah, that's about it. Again, I hope that you enjoyed the race and the commentary. My name is Kickerlin or Dino. My co-commentator has been Luke, and that's it from us. See you next time for the finale, and have a good night.